In this video, we'll look at the different types of office equipment you will encounter throughout your professional career. While many offices are different, this for the most part will be the equipment that standard offices will have in them. So let's start with the basics. Almost every office you'll have a multi-line phone. And so a multi-line phone condenses multiple phone lines into a single device so you can manage and screen multiple calls from your desk. Before multi-line phones, a person would call a phone number that was connected to a switchboard, and the switchboard operator would transfer you to the line you needed. With a multi-line phone, 2 or 3 people can call you and be on hold directly at your desk, so you don't have to, the switchboard operator doesn't have to keep calling and checking to see if your phone's available. Multi-line phone has several lines as opposed to one dedicated line. A printer. Most of you have already encountered a printer and you've used it before, but for those of you who haven't, a printer is an external hardware output device that makes electronic data stored on a computer or another device and generates a hard copy for it. So for example, if you create a report on your computer, you could print several copies of it and hand it out in a staff meeting. So say you have a flyer or an Excel spreadsheet that you need to print out the data, you wouldn't bring your computer and hand it to each individual person. You would print it out using a printer so that they could have a hard, tangible copy with them. A scanner. So say in our staff meeting, someone has handwritten notes and everyone wants a copy of them handwritten notes. We have 2 options. Someone can go and type up their notes, or we can take our handwritten notes to the scanner, place it on the scanner, and an electronic copy will be made of it. So you'll place the document face down and close the lid, and then there's different commands on it, but you'll push, typically it's a big green button, and it will scan and it will create an electronic copy for you. And from there you can either store it locally on your computer, you can send it to the other people who want the handwritten notes. A copier. So for our staff meeting, say we have 10 people, but we only have 2 copies, or we've only printed out 2 documents for it. So instead of going back and printing out 8 more documents, what we can do is take one of our hard copies that we already have and take it to the copier and put it in the copier, and it will generate 8 more copies for us. When it comes to printing, it can take a while for the printer, depending on what kind of printer you have, to print out the number of copies you need, and it's also taking up all the resources in your printer. As opposed to a copier, it can spit out 8 copies within seconds, as opposed to a printer that may take a couple minutes to get it. So a copier is a much more efficient and faster way of getting more tangible copies for people to disperse. One thing that more and more offices are moving to is a multifunction printer. And so what it does is it takes all 3 of these things and it brings it together into one big device. And so this is what you'll see in more and more offices, is a big device like this. While it's quite scary looking, basically all it is everything we've talked about in one device. It can scan, it can copy, it can print, it can fax, it can email, and so much more. And so more and more offices are moving to this, so they don't have to buy individual devices and buy individual resources for those devices. So instead of buying printer ink for 10 printers, they only have to buy a printer ink for the one big printer. Instead of maintaining one copier or several copiers, all they have to do is maintain the multifunction printer. And the same for the scanner. Instead of maintaining 10 scanners, they can only have to worry about maintenance for the multifunction printer.